My colleague told me at a luncheon that he had a car standing on his property that had been there for a few years and that his son's girlfriend had inherited it, and the idea was that she would practice driving before getting her driver's license. This Saab had been standing on his property for at least 2.5 years, he told me. Now Kjell wanted the car gone, he was tired of it standing there taking up space. I have offered him to tow the car away free of charge if I have to hire a tow truck to do it. The reason I took on the project was that there was a B204E engine in the car. An engine that is known to withstand a lot of power. There is a Garrett T25 turbo mounted originally, a small, lightweight turbo that gives the power 154 horsepower. This was a chance to learn more about Saab turbo. Me and 2 other guys have already tried to move the car by hand by pushing it. It didn't work, the brakes are completely stuck.
Kind of mold here.
The interior smelled of mold and stale smoke. This is the first time I've turned the ignition on the car. It was dead, not so unexpected perhaps. Luckily, there was engine oil in the car. I tried to get into the tailgate by pressing this button first, nothing happened, maybe it was because the battery was dead. Then I tried to open it with the key, but couldn't figure it out then either, but I would turn out to get the tailgate open a little later. All the door locks seemed to be stuck. The key couldn't be turned at all. The locks had probably jammed when it was parked. There is no central locking remote control, so you had to leave the car unlocked to get in.
Wet here, this mat is wet, so it's leaking in water, and you can see it's been rusting. Hallelujah here. The brakes are totally locked.
Both the front and rear brakes looked miserable. The rust had really taken hold of the brake discs and brake pads.
Yeah, it was really stuck. I've been working on this for long, but finally it's loose.
Since the car battery only gave 0.7 volts, I decided to try to take the battery home and revive it. I have a few methods for that I think might solve or help to get the voltage up in the battery.
Yeah, we got full charge.
A very nice feature that I miss on my other car is this cruise control. I was really happy when I saw that there was a cruise control on this Saab. There was mold here and there in the car, probably rainwater had leaked in because the floor mats were wet in places. All of this created a humid environment where mold thrived. The car was really disgusting. I have reinstalled the charged battery, which now seems to provide enough power to start the car.
Okay. Yeah, it started. Now it's ticking quite bad. Yeah, it's ticking quite bad.
Now it was time to try to get the front brakes loose, which were stuck, but thanks to the engine I had to help, it should be possible.
So it did stall. Yeah, it's moving, but the brakes are on.
The bottom edge of the rear doors looked pretty okay. If you look at the mountings on the front doors, they also looked good, no major rust there, that's positive. However, the left driver's door looks to be dented or damaged, it's like a big crack at the top between the door and the body. Water probably leaks in there when it rains, because the floor mat was wet. That could mean there's rust under the mat. This rust hole by the driver's floor may not look serious, but it's usually much worse than it looks. It almost looks like it's coming from the inside, why else would it start to rust so much? Rusting like this is not good. This is probably the remark it received at the inspection a few years ago, that is in the papers.
Better turn this off. This still sounds, even though it's off. What's up with that?
There is something electrically wrong, something with the fan doesn't seem to turn off.
It's this one.
Maybe there are a few other things that don't turn off when you turn the key off.
What's that? What is this? I've turned off the ignition. It's still pulling high. Not good, not good. Why?
The latest generation Saab 900 and the Saab 9-3 tend to rust at the rear wheel arches. That's why I check the status of how bad the rust is at the rear. I look under the car and find rust, especially where there are plastic plugs. Probably moisture has gotten stuck between the plastic plugs and the body. Alternatively, moisture has come from inside the floor and the damp insulation that has been lying around has created rust from the inside. This is also a known problem on the first generations of Saab 9-3. You have to lift the insulation mat, that is, pull out the entire floor mat and insulation to see what it looks like from the inside. The seats probably need to be taken out of the car as well. After some troubleshooting, I get tired of looking for electrical problems, so I remove the grille and take a look behind it. Cobwebs and some other debris, but it doesn't look too bad. It seems that once I turn on the ignition, something is left drawing power and it's different from time to time. I'm just trying to find what's giving power to this fan or coffee maker as I call it, and I'm pulling fuse after fuse.
Still sounding. So when I pulled this one, it died. Let's see what that is.
Here I have filled up with Shell's V-Power, which is like 98 octane or E05 I think it is called, which has about 5% ethanol in it. So it is a slightly better quality of petrol. I have a hope that the engine might run a bit better now that it gets new petrol. Otherwise, I try to back the car up and it seems to be moving the car, so we are definitely making progress.
Now it's less ticking.
Here I have tried putting on the handbrake and releasing it again, and now the Saab seems to be going sluggishly again, especially when I steer in either direction. The brakes are definitely not good.
The lock is stuck.
Neither the driver's nor the passenger's side lock could be moved. They are completely stuck. I tried to lubricate them with a little oil. The next problem was the antenna mount. Unfortunately, someone has broken the antenna, and it seems that rainwater is leaking in there. This causes rust and wet trunk mats. I decide to remove the antenna and put tape there instead. Then came the day when I finally became the owner of this Saab. All the papers were now signed, and all that was left was to put the letter or the change of ownership in the mailbox. I can now finally try to take it from the place. Stay tuned to the next episode and see if I eventually manage to fix the rust and inspect this Saab. It is with this scooter that I go to the Saab to tinker with it. It is a good way to transport a fair amount of stuff. This time I bring the bike rack with me to prepare to be able to cycle to the car and eventually pick up the Saab and take the bike with me in the back of the car. When I start it, it smokes blue right at the start. There are also some strange noises. There is a bang in the exhaust pipe and some other noise makes itself felt. Listen again at a slow pace. The strange sounds are scaring me a little. Where are they coming from? I get out of the car to try to see if I can see anything strange, but I don't see anything obvious. So I decide to continue and try to drive out of the place in the car and hope for the best. Checking status of PCV system, positive crankcase ventilation. I have done some research on common problems on the Saab 9-3. Among other things, there can be problems with the PCV valve, which can cause overpressure and, among other things, oil leaks and other problems. Someone warns that it is very important to check this, so that is why I do this test. It gives a positive result. It sucks as it should.
Sucked down if I had. The rear wiper seems to be totally...
The rear windshield wiper is also broken, unfortunately. The splines don't seem to engage the windshield wiper at all. I'll have to look at it later. The engine is revving, so I decide to take a slow drive around the block to activate the brakes a bit.
Not too bad now in the brakes. But you can hear it. Yeah, the test drive went well. The brakes are really bad, but they are getting better. They need to be worked a lot.
Well, it seems like the car is drivable anyway, so I'll continue with the next step. Removing the seats and floor mats, to try to see how bad the rust is. Check out episode 3 in this series for more info on how to do this.
A sandbox. So we got a hole through there.
As always, the rust is much more widespread than you might first naively think. Here I start to clean off most of the rust to see what I have to work with. The idea is to spot weld pieces of sheet metal in place. It will be far from pretty, but the hope is that it will last a few years. Maybe it is possible, thanks to rust preventive paint and linseed oil. Using a heat gun to remove the bitumen mat is probably one of the most effective ways to remove the asphalt mat.
Holy macaroni, this is a lot of crap.
The cabin filter and air filter were overhauled. This fully synthetic gearbox oil from Biltema is not supposed to be aggressive towards so-called yellow metals such as brass. I believe that synchronizers can sometimes be made of brass. I am not sponsored in any way, but I use this oil because it seems affordable. If the gearbox breaks down, I promise to make a video about it. Now I've sprayed rust inhibitor on some exposed areas and also changed the transmission oil, so it's time to roll the car down the ramps. Something is screaming and howling as I drive down the ramp. I don't know what it is. If you remember from previous episodes, there are still power thieves, so I disconnect the battery when the car is going to be parked for a while. I will continue troubleshooting the electrical fault at a later time. When I brought this Saab, I probably didn't really think it would be this much work, but now we're here. Now we just have to keep fighting. The car works reasonably well at least. I've still come quite a long way. Now the next problem is finding a place where I can weld these pieces of sheet metal I made, and I'll probably need to get a welder. I don't have a good place where I can weld, so I'm trying to find someone in my circle of friends who can lend me some power and where I can be outside and weld, and partly learn how to weld too. I've only welded a little bit on a Toyota Previa. There should be a video of it if you search my videos. Now I'm going to weld outside in the wind, which is more difficult. The project continues in the next episode. Now I'm at Goran's workshop. Since I haven't welded in years, I've brought some leftover pieces of sheet metal with me that I'm starting to try welding on. Nothing is going well. How is this going to work, I think? This is flux cord welding, so I don't use any gas. If you want to see when I buy this Biltema welder, there's another video that shows a little more when I buy and weld with this new welder.
Yeah, this is first time welding on this car. Primer, zinc based, rust protective, and then some linseed oil.
The Saab is welded and it's time to go home. I want to take this opportunity to really thank Goran, who showed up and I got the opportunity to weld and use his workshop and power supply. It is a great relief that the worst of the rust job is done. Now I will continue to try to get the Saab ready for an inspection. Unfortunately, the airbag light is on. This is because I have removed the front seats at the same time as I have had the ignition on while the seats have been gone. The airbag light must be turned off, otherwise there will be problems during the inspection. The question is how to solve it.
And we're home again. After putting in the shares, I've had problems with the airbag light. It doesn't turn off. So when I start it now, info display it stops, but then it comes back. And I check the brake light and then that turns away. Then we have the rear light. We have the night panel, it's a nice feature. See, it died. Yeah. I'm testing the brakes. I fiddle with them, trying to make them better. I have a M.O.T on Monday, so this is in drive in repair mode. What is it? Is it this one? Oops, I got wet. Not the best wipers. I will.
Here I test different lights, indicators, tail lights, fog lights, high beams to make sure if there is anything that needs to be fixed before the inspection. The high beam doesn't work, I have to troubleshoot it.
Parking light is working. I can't get the head beam to work. Doesn't lead up. So I'm pulling here. Is that what that means? Yeah, probably. It was not described very well in the manual. I read on the internet that this lamp control is a common problem when there's bulb errors or headlights, head beams. So I'm gonna take this inside and check it out, see if I can repair it. Lamp control. So I had to solder the one to the top here. I'm using this old one. Put a new target on it. A new yeah, spets. So it's working better now. This one I think it was a bit non-working. We'll try it out, see if it helps. Looks like this, and it goes into this. Just pick it up where this piece is. Let's hope for the best. Okay, moment of truth. Come on. Yeah, that light went out. Nice. Let's see. No. No luck. Okay, I've resoldered again. Let's. Nada. I guess I have to replace that relay. Too bad. Let's give this a new try. I didn't turn this on. So let's see. Shoop. Kom igen nu. Ej. No. Nope. Didn't help. Still got that airbag. Today I'm going to fix it. I'm gonna meet up with a guy who has Autocom. He says he can fix it. Fix the SRS Reset. So hopefully I can film some of it and we get this off. Tomorrow is M.O.T day, so it's in nick of the time, or whatever you say. Now I'm going to Biltema to meet him. Also gonna buy some new windshield wipers.
De kostar inte så många kronor om man köper en pirat. Det där är ju en pirat.
Är det en pirat? Ja.
Ja. Och de där kostar 300 eller 400.
Då kör vi 3 eller 400. Ja, fan. Ja. Då kör vi direkt med kabel. Inte någon USB eller Bluetooth.
Nej, det är ingen Bluetooth. Den här är med kabel. Men den finns med Bluetooth. Sen vad är det för årsmodell? Vad tror du?
99.
99. Då tar vi ner den. Då tar vi 99. Där. Så tar vi alla system. Sen behöver jag dina bilnycklar.
Ja. Det är lite problem med det här med backen och det här.
Det är lugnt.
Ja. Jag proppar ur den i backen. Då vet jag att den där lilla nyckelgrejen ploppar upp. Då låser den sig nästan.
Precis. Slår vi på tändningen. Ja, nu försvann den.
Titta! Nej, jag kom tillbaks. Ja.
Vi gör det så här. Vi gör så här.
Jag kollar lite på, finns det några restraints?
Vi ska göra så här. Vi ska gå in i bara airbag, det kan man göra också. Det gör man här. Så. Diagnosförfrågan. Jajamän. Och sen hittar den bilen.
Kontakt etablerad.
Jajamän. Ja, nu hittar jag sido airbag förare. Vi kan göra så här. Ta en bild på det här.
Ja.
Det är bara om vi kommer tillbaka.
Ja. Yes. Bought some new wipers. Now the airbag is gone. Hopefully still. Yes. And then we have brake light. All clear. Nice. Biltema. So let's remove this. I'm going for M.O.T today. It's exciting, see what happens, see what the protocol is. I'm going to besikta. And we're here. Besikta. M.O.T.
Sitta här.
Sitta här.
Tills jag kommer in så kan du vara med om du.
Oh, kanon.
I forgot to film it, but I got the high beam sorted. It turned out that the fuse I had taken out was for the fan that was running and making noise and drawing power. That fuse also had the high beam, so I was messing around with that one a lot. Maybe it was just the fuse, because when I put the fuse back in it worked.
Bara stå där och sen om du vill sitta.
Ja, okej.
Hålla även under och...
Ja, jag är gärna med och se vad du tycker. Jag lagar lite rost där om du ser.
Ja, lite här och var.
Ja. Så det på insidan, inte det snyggaste men det borde vara okej.
Ja då. Är det för att lukta lite linolja?
Ja precis, jag har linolja lite även här fram i djurhuset.
Ja. Du kan komma och kolla grejer.
bussningen här börjar bli dåliga.
De blir dåliga också.
Båda två här.
Båda de två. Ja.
Och det kommer bli som en bra veta.
Ja, ja.
Så du har koll på den.
Ja, okej, det är bra.
Linolja, det är bra.
Eller hur?
Jag själv hade 9000 jag använde linolja på också.
Ja.
Det funkar jättebra.
Ja, jag har kört det på mina bilar. Först linolja, sen dra på lite av det här tjockare, den här svarta textilliknande sen. När det har torkat, när först ska det torka.
Det tar ju ett tag innan det torkar också.
Ja,
Ja, du har ju, vilken linolja använder du? Den är lite mildare eller lite trögflytande?
Biltemas, jag vet inte. Den torkar efter några dagar.
Jag bor i Eskilstuna då. Så åkte jag till Barkmans och köpte linolja. Då tog jag den här lite mera mörkare, trögflytande linoljan.
Jaha, Barkmans. Vadå, man kan välja där? Okej.
Ja.
Barkmans. Ja. Ja, jag försöker rädda den här från, den var på väg, den hade stått i 2 år på en gräsmatta och var vi nästan på väg att skrota den, men jag försöker hålla den vid liv kanske lite tag till.
Ja, de är bra härliga bilar.
Ja, jag tänker det är Saab också så man känner lite av det. Får vi se vad du säger.
Ja. Får du snurra upp boket eller något?
Är det trögt? Ja.
Det är väldigt trögt.
Ja.
Ja,
Men då kan jag snurra upp och pumpa ur lite.
du har ju väldigt dålig bromskraft bak, eller?
Jaha, 1,1 där.
Ja, och det är och 1,7 på den här och 1,1 på andra sidan då.
Ja.
Så det är 35% i skillnad mellan dem. Så det blir ett återbesök för den.
Ja, okej.
Så
Men tror du det räcker att motionera liksom lite och...
byta lite skivor och sen motionera upp på golven där.
Jag måste byta skivorna tror jag.
Ja.
Ja,
Klossarna, de ser bra ut.
det gör de. Ja.
Ja, det kan du köra i alla fall året ut med och lite till.
Ja, jag kan behålla dem även när jag sätter dit nya skivor då. Ja.
Ska vi passa på att byta skivorna fram också?
Skivorna framåt. Ja.
Att de är skadade här uppe.
Ja, jag ser att de är... Han har stått mycket så de har tagit lite skada. Kanske börjar bli... Ja, det är slut kanske. Men oken kan man behålla i alla fall.
Ja då, det kan du göra.
Ja.
Var är det årsmodell på den?
99.
5 år gammal?
Ja, han ser inte så gammal ut.
Nej, det gör det inte.
Det är rätt fräsch i designen.
Och det är ju bromskraftfördelningen där då. Behöver smörjas upp.
Ja.
Och sen har du bromsskivor bak på båda sidor, rostangrepp, liten anläggningsyta då.
Ja.
Och sen har du längdkraftsslagaren bak på båda sidor, en glapp där då.
Så det är det här bromskraften som andra axeln, är det bak det?
Ja, det är bak.
Ja, så där måste jag byta skivorna garanterat för att komma igenom besiktningen.
Ja.
Så kan jag ta skivorna kanske på fram till nästa sommar eller något.
Ja.
Det är en 840 här.
Men det är ju för att bromskraften fram kommer vara...
Den var okej, ja. Det var 2,5 där ja.
Ja.
Ja, så tar jag det till nästa sommar så har jag lite pyssla med det också.
Yes.
Ja, men det låter bra, kanon. Så det här, ja, undertjänsten. Jag får köra med en månad.
Ja, den månaden.
Ja, men bra. Toppen. Tack så mycket, det var betalt och klart va?
Yes.
Ja, fint. Tackar så mycket.
Tack väl.
So this is the result. Brake power distribution on the second axle, which means rear, is uneven and even bad. You see you got 1.1 there 1.7. It should be at most 35% difference. So I need to replace the discs in the rear, both sides, and get that distribution system, you know, to work. Then we got the good to know långkantslagring, that's bearing bushing on the big main axle, both sides. It's good to know. It was a bit moving a bit too much, they thought, but no worries, just good to know. And then brakes on the front, both sides. Need to replace the disc. I can keep the oak, whatever you say. So yeah, pretty happy with it. It's just brakes, and this is the big thing. Have to check that out, how much that is. Pretty much work, I guess. I'm at it at the brakes again, starting to hit this out with some bam bam bam. But this side the piston is stuck on this side, so let's see if I can jiggle it out. I'm not gonna show you, there are lots of brake videos.
Can't look you in the face.